Hi, welcome to Illuminated Tarot. My name is Jenna. I'm here to do a collective reading for you all for the week of May 19th through the 25th. I took a couple-day departure and drove down to Shenandoah over the last few days to see my parents. I couldn't remember the last time the three of us gathered together. You know, when you have children and partners and that sort of thing, it was just so nice to have them with me. And we saw one thing that I will note. If you ever get a chance to see a wonder of the world, we went to Lurie Caverns, and it's in Virginia, the mountains of Virginia in the U.S. And it was just phenomenal to go inside the earth and explore the subterranean, deeper, watery world full of minerals. And there was a solemn, stillness. So that was just like a nice mark. I want to pay homage to the earth and the way the earth continues to move me in new ways. And I think Taurus season, if you look back over the last few weeks and you think about how much you've changed, I hope that you look back and think, I nurtured myself a little bit more. I connected more deeply with my environment, with the elements. I feel more attuned with the seasons. We're all awakening to a deeper aspect of our own becoming, in our own fullness. And now that I just feel I want to honor Taurus season because it was very special. We're now moving into Gemini season tomorrow on the 20th. And this season marks a real significant shift in the energy from the earth-based energy, which is very grounding, to our first juicy experience of the new zodiac year in an air sign. And this is primal air. It's the first air sign. And our primal need, right, to communicate with the cosmos, to get the divine downloads, to communicate with other people, the spark of new ideas, the spark of inspiration, being driven by our passions. So I do believe that Gemini season, as we embark on that this week, we're going to be hitting the ground running with more creativity, more purposeful passion, directed action. All right. So whatever that means in your life, whether that's in relationships, deepening in the communication, learning more about your communication styles, other people's communication styles, whether it's your coworkers trying to understand. The biggest thing I've learned about communication in my life lately is that we all need to work a little bit more on listening, all of us as a whole, as a species. So maybe make that be every season I kind of embark on a goal. And I think that this season, Gemini, for me, as there will be a strong emphasis on communication with the divine and with others, is to listen. Make sure you take time to really hear what people are saying and hear what the universe is nudging you toward. You will be getting I'm getting goosebumps. You will be getting significant signs this week to get moving, right? To really lay those plans down and to get creative. So all you musicians out there, artists, this is a good time to create what you want to create. Another significant shift we're experiencing later this week on the 24th. Saturn is the Lord of time. And I see Saturn as a benevolent, almost like the emperor or the hermit, a wise elder that is in our lives to teach us our most significant lessons. And it does mark through time the significant challenges that we face and the milestones we go through in our lifetimes. So now that Saturn is shifting into primal fire, it's not so comfortable, and Saturn isn't so comfortable in Aries, I've found in my studies this morning. I was really sinking into the energy, and it was like, so as you go out and you're feeling creative and you're being inspired and you're communicating with people and you're getting the divine downloads, you could feel a little restless and a little patient, like I want it all now, right now, that dream, right? You want to be living inside the dream. So sometimes it takes time to become completely actualized in what you're trying to create. There are steps. And so Saturn is kind of marrying our creative pursuits and the passion of those underneath them with the necessary discipline and the devotion that we need to not give up on them. So long-term goals will be highlighted. New beginnings, courage, leadership, all the things that we focus on in Aries energy, our individuality. So we have an opportunity with this transit that starts on the 24th. It's for the next 3 months, Saturn in Aries. It's going to compel us almost like a cosmic identity shift. So we have a unique drive over the next few months to really be more self-directed on our path and to go through a period of almost like a surprising shift in the way we see ourselves. And that's Aries and Saturn. And it only comes by way of maturity and discipline. So you might even surprise yourself with the things that you're co-creating and the patience that you have as they unfold. So it really is about channeling our passions into productivity and not giving up on them, despite getting impatient, despite getting restless. So you might feel a little tug, push, pull with your endeavors, but don't give up. That's the biggest thing. Don't give up on whatever is generated during this time period that will allow you to reinvent yourself. To be the architect of a new reality. Because now we're living in these timelines that, like we've been talking about, that Scorpio moon was the final act of shedding our old skin and breaking pattern. And now we're stepping into the full embodiment of a new reality where we're seeing the world from a more mature place. And we're slowing ourselves down and we're being patient with the process and trusting in what's unfolding. So, because it's Gemini season, as you know, a lot of you, Gemini is highlighted in the tarot with the Lovers. So I wanted to bring back my old, favorite. I felt her really calling me when I got up this morning. I want to talk about love because the Lovers is the major arcana for Gemini. And when we see the Lovers, hopefully it'll come out in the tarot, but if it doesn't, it's fine. When we see the Lovers, it is this undeniable connection to love, to connect with our hearts, with others, and with the cosmos. So I want to talk about what the prophetess. Now, some of you who haven't been with me, you're just chiming in on this. Thank you for tuning in. You're just tuning in. You're like, what is she talking about? I like to read excerpts. Sometimes I bring in quotes. Other times I read from poetry books. A lot of us have heard of The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. She was basically summoned by him in spirit to continue the work through the perspective, the lens of the divine feminine. And this is just, I know I've read some of this before, but I really want you to work on embodying this for Gemini season as a whole, okay? Because she just so poetically puts it all into perspective for us, the concept of love. Speak to us of love, and the prophetess spoke. We are all here on this earth for the great work of love, and love is not for the faint of heart. We are each a tall, mighty tree inside of a small seed. Love is what breaks us open. Love is the systematic destroyer of every small self as it calls us forth into all we're destined to be. Love is the true evolutionary force in this universe, the only thing we desire enough to grow beyond ourselves. Love is the only thing persuasive enough to convince us to take on the mad and harrowing voyage from bud to blossom. And that said, I hope you can let her in to do her sacred, reckless thing to the heart of your life anyway. Besides love, what reason have the atoms to bound together? What other motivation have the planets to whirl around that dazzling light? Love is the deepest law of the universe. Love is the origin, the destination, and the medium of all things. The truth, my dear, busy yourself with naught else, for there is nothing but love. With love, eternity is infused into every otherwise mortal moment. For your own sake, don't commit the grievous ignorance of shallowing yourself and love by demanding that love be comfortable. Let her sear and singe and be the reason why you grow. For love is not meant to spare us from our necessary suffering that brings us to blossom. Love is meant to captivate us so much that we're willing to successfully move through ever deeper levels of old limitations as we more closely approach the reality of the authentic heart. Love is for your joy and your emergence, and also let love be a sanctuary for your sorrows, that they may rest while they pass through you on their path back to their final destination, which is also love. Spare yourself from all knowledge but the knowledge of love, the love that edifies the mountains, the love that makes the oak grow into the full nobility of itself, the love that gives the robin its song. Spare yourself from all but the love that cloaks each night with elegance, that writes poetic eloquence into life, the love that is the mother tongue of all hearts, that speaks with the fluency of oneness. See not pain and love as separate. For to live a full and present life is for love to be the attendant at the bedside of each of our wounds. To say pain and love are separate is to do that unloving thing of splitting life by telling one experience it needs to change before it is worthy of love. The great redemption of our pain is reunion with love, and love, in her great absence of judgment, shares herself unconditionally with anything that would benefit from her presence. The depth of our ability to love reveals the depths of our ability to lose. To lose is love's inevitability. Inevitability, that's a tough one. But our choice lies in how beautifully we lose. In this great art of loss, that is love. Our hearts are called to unforeseen depths of courage. To stand at the base of love's great mountain is to enter into a profound consultation with the truth in our hearts about what we're willing to lay down of ourself on love's path. If we are willing to lose for love's blossoming rather than lose in the protection of love's hiding, the eternal is grown, no matter what becomes dust. This world was always only made of love. Stay close to whatever in this world allows you to reveal its original form. Yeah, the prophetess, she's just, meditate on that this week and for the next few weeks, okay? Let's get into some oracle messages. Thank you, Spirit, for presiding over this reading for the collective today. Okay. I've got What We Have Forgotten oracle out. Let's see what the deeper themes are for the week. Deeper themes for the week. What direction are you pointing us towards, Spirit? Ooh. This one wanted to come out. Put that in the middle. I should have left my glasses on. There we have Primal Fire. I knew that was going to come out. So we have an offering to move beyond the ego. We're being led beyond Taurus season. You see how beautiful it is? We've got nature and the light of our own illumination through the trees, the halls of wisdom that the earth has provided this Taurus season. And we're being led and guided. Gosh. Wow. There's a lot of blue. It looks like a cathedral. And it looks like with each step we take, it is sacred. We're being led through the waters, being brightly lit through the archway of what we wish to communicate, what we wish to channel. And I think that we're reckoning with our egoic need. I want to look at why is ego here for the week? Why is ego here? Portal. It is a portal. See, look at that. Look at how they pair together. We're going through a portal where we're shedding sometimes through discomfort, right? through the pain that I just had to pause over. I had to pause. Did you feel that? Ooh. When I was talking about pain has to be a necessary process to deepen into love. So this fundamental necessity that we have to communicate during Gemini season has a lot to do with being willing to look beyond the ego. I feel like the collective is going through a portal where we have looked at how the ego has ruled our world, how we have been conditioned as a society. I do believe that we are collectively going through a shedding of egoic ways of behaving. And now there's this sacred honoring of spirit, which is fire. Ooh, they told me to look at the bottom of the deck. Nature, synchronicity, and vision quest. So as we go and we honor moving into this Saturnian leadership where we're taking our passions and we're leading with love and courage and we're being willing to surrender the ego. It's almost like Spirit's offering this to us. Are you ready to honor this sacred divinity within you? It is your very nature to live in a state of divine synchronicity. A lot of us are going on new adventures at this time where we're being led into a vision quest. And adventure is right under vision quest. And our paths are being divinely guided and protected through the cosmic egg. Doors are opening. I feel like the time period between now and Lionsgate is going to be a pivotal time for these new chapters to unfold where we're not operating from ego anymore. We're truly in a higher dimensional reality. And it takes some getting used to. You know, for the most part, the collective is identified with egoic ways of getting through our days and moving through the world. What would happen if we collectively started shedding that? Well, Spirit is saying, you're going to be experiencing synchronicities and you're going through this profound, it's almost like this Mayan calendar, right? When we look at these phases, these eras, and we're entering into an era where we're being protected and there's a new adventure of unfolding where we're being called to nurture the parts of ourselves that it's like almost like this cosmic boot camp, right? Where it's like, are you ready to shift into your new identity? Ooh, all right, let's get into the tarot. I like that. Nice spiritual message for the start of the week. King of Swords, there's that air, two of Taurus. I'll take two of Taurus, please. Two of Pentacles. So we're moving from Taurus into Aries, and some of us we're stabilizing now in a air frequency where, as a fellow air sign, I love air energy so much because it's kind of sexy, right? The ideas, the communication, like there's nothing more tantalizing than intelligence, I will say. All right, let's see what's going on. And I'm sorry for dogs barking. They're kind of active today. Nothing I can do about that. That wants to come out. Page of Wands, leading with playful curiosity, are we? This week, I like that. Taking on youthful optimism as we embark on this new adventure. Ooh, and it's a celebration. 3 of Cups. Okay, so a lot of people are gathering as we shift the seasons around the world. And we're now knee deep, right, in this new season, whether it's spring or fall. And we're anticipating, maybe joyous occasions. But there is some sort of celebration, happiness, joy, new friendships, making plans. So this week looks like it's going to be happy, full of exuberance and new beginnings. Ooh, I love it. 10 of Wands are being dropped. I think we're looking back at what we have had, the hard journey of releasing, right? The armoring, the shedding of the old skin that I've been talking about. We're in a new frequency. And this new frequency is not hard to embody. It's not hard to just be in it. When we strip the layers of the ego and we're willing to drop the ideology around life is hard. It's a struggle, Jenna. Hey, life is a struggle, but when you look at it look at life through the eyes of a child. Do they think it's a struggle? They're curious. They're like, whoa, everything is every corner you turn is something new. I was touring the Lurie Caverns in Virginia with my family this past weekend. Drove down, beautiful drive. Well, it was a little rainy on the first end of it. I welcome it. Welcome each day. But it was just fascinating how when you look at like the stretch of time and even the earth and what she has co-created with the universe and her unfolding. I was like inside of her womb, inside these caverns, stalactites, and it took millions of years to form. And I was just like, whoa, everywhere I looked, it was like a whole new experience. So I'm saying this story because this energy I'm picking up on is a lot of you have new adventures and new experiences just around the corner if you will just allow Spirit to reveal it to you. This is a time to be excited, to drop the burden of any struggle that you have been dealing with, and to maybe make plans to do something new, to go out, plan an adventure, even if it means getting in your car and driving and going wherever you're being led to go. I think Spirit's calling on us to have more fun, to play around with new ideas, to play around with the concept that maybe life doesn't have to be a struggle. A shift in perspective is happening this week. Wow, more page energy. Page of Pentacles, Two of Swords. Ooh, Crossroads. Oh, wow. We got some difficult energies coming out, but I'm not surprised. This is the exchange of energy. Like I said, the exchange of ideas centered around the concept of air. I just decided to tell a display here of a storyboard. We got a storyboard going on of, are you willing to choose being curious and creative and playful this week and to come out of not trusting your path? This feels like blocks that are coming from looking at your life like you've got to judge yourself at every turn or criticize where you've come from or worry about where you're going. It feels like a very personal inward journey of clearing up the mind because we have the 7 of Swords with the 2. That's the 9 of Swords. And we also have the 10 of Wands in reverse. So Spirit is saying abandon anything and everything that creates a blockage and makes you just, you can't trust it. This might be a little bit of that leftover energy from the Scorpio full moon of what were you called to shed? Have you shed it yet? Because if you hold on, it's going to get harder. Spirit is saying life is this new era, this new reality is calling on you in this new adventure, in this new season of Gemini, to take what you've learned from this past Saturn. This is also a Saturn return, by the way, for people that are between 28 and 30 and 58 and 60. And that's when we look at our lives as a whole, almost like an existential crisis. So some of you might be dealing with that energy of like, oh my God, what do I need to release, right? Around struggle. I feel like the collective is shifting its own societal identity, shedding the ego this week. This is a big, big change. Where do you have the courage to look at your life in a different way? We all have the capacity to live in a synchronized state where we are so in line and in tune with the universe. You're seeing signs all the time. This is also be careful with abandoning self and moving towards situations where there's deception. 7 of Swords. Spirit's saying you got to block it. We don't have time for it. We just don't, because what we deserve is reciprocity, the equal exchange of energy, fairness, kindness, acts of service, people that are generous with you. If you are entertaining anyone or anything that is not being generous with you, Spirit said, do not suffer in it, because you deserve the 10 of Pentacles. You deserve long-term success, long-term prosperity, and long-term security. So I don't have any majors here, so it's kind of a nice thing. It feels like leftover energy from the Scorpio full moon where we're almost celebrating opening up into a new chapter, where this chapter, as long as you're shedding the old, is we're moonwalking. I'm getting a moonwalk. Like Michael Jackson doing the moonwalk, right? Like, woo, like it's almost like smooth, like a nice jazz or R&B song, right? On a sunny afternoon, smooth like butter. That's what they want us to live that way. It's interesting how, we do all have our silent struggles. That's part of life, but I'm getting an overall vibe. I want to get one more. Let's get some advice. But it feels like we're being called to lighten up. We're being called to lighten up and to play a little bit this week. Have fun with our friends, with our families, with our loved ones, and block out anyone or anything that is a lower vibration that you can't trust. The advice, the star, because we've done so much healing work together as a collective, especially any of you who have been on this channel, where it's time to root and ground in our cosmic origins, in our divine design, the star, knowing that whatever we wish for, we can create. Yeah, you choose. This is like, don't hold back from your vision. That's the thing too. I get asked a lot, like, how do you do what you do? This, my friends, is it. What are you passionate about? Because it is an endless supply of energy. If you're passionate about something, it is not hard work. You work at it, but it's play. It's play. So get out there and play. Whatever that is, play. Play with it. We have the Eight of Swords clarifying the star, the sun, and the Knight of Wands. Yeah. Spirit's saying, what? Don't hold back. Don't hold back from living a spirited life that is full of the illumination of the heart and the soul, being aligned with the divine. I feel like in some ways we're being mirrored back to ourselves, the ways that we've trapped ourselves through the decisions we've made, through our karmic lessons, but we are living in a new era. A lot of us who've been doing this deep internal shifting, we're transiting away from the ego struggle, right? To more of the divine flow. Ego struggle to divine flow. That's the sun and the star. Divine flow. Don't hold back from your passions, because if you do, you're going to feel stuck. You're going to feel really stuck if you're not pursuing your passions. Isn't that not so? Most of the times in my life where I've struggled is when I am staying stuck in something that I just want to free myself from, but I tell myself I can't, or it's too hard, or it's going to take too long, or I don't have what it takes, or this or that needs me, So be careful with what your mind wants to generate around staying stuck in something, because we are meant to live with passion. Knight of Wands. A lot of us have been holding back too when we're talking about the lovers and this season of love. If you are pursuing romance, Knight of Wands is an energy of don't hold back from love. I just talked about that in the prophetess. Don't hold back from love because you're afraid. What happens when we live in fear? We're not free, and freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. I love that line. What if you looked at your life like you got nothing left to lose? It changes everything. So your advice is to look at your life this week as if you have nothing left to lose, and you deserve the freedom of the wild horses. Now I'm hearing Rolling Stones, right? There's a lot of happiness and healing. Wow. Okay. Let's go into, where are we at? 29. I'm going to get a messenger here of the light, what they have to say to us for the week ahead. Saint Germain, karma releasing. I told you there was some last vestiges where we are really tying up the loose ends, making peace with the past. A lot of Six of Cups, Devil has been coming out for the mid-monthlies. I feel like May, I know things are going to be really powerfully moving forward at the end of May. So these next 2 weeks, really clean up any of those feelings, old hurts, old pains, make peace with them, honor what they have served, in your own journey. We have Saint Germain stepping forward for the week. Move beyond drama, create your own path, make room for good energy. So karma is being released. The cosmic realms, the higher realms are helping us work through this so we can align with our highest timeline in our star reality, whatever that is for you. Wow. They want me to read just a little excerpt from Saint Germain. I said read the final paragraph. Karma is the spiritual law of cause and effect. We experience many levels of karma. Some we inherit from our family and some from the people we keep helping out of the problems they keep creating. See that Eight of Swords? It's when we feel like, well, my validation comes from being needed, but it's not serving you. If you're staying in something that isn't equal, that isn't giving back to you, if it's one-sided. Saint Germain is here now to clear your energy so that you no longer have the weight of the world or your loved one's world on your shoulders. Be aware that an old pattern is leaving your life and creating space for something more loving to enter. Visualize yourself surrounded by a fiery violet cloak to release all the karma you no longer need. All right. Move beyond the drama. Oh. Well, Spirit just had their way with that. They literally threw that card. Did you see that? The card literally was thrown away. Really. Right? Out with the old, in with the new. That was funny. Wow. All right. Let's read from Mark Nepo, and then we're going to pull a final card. That was funny. Well, that's all else. That's what they wanted me to do with that card, right? Release the drama. I'm sorry, Saint Germain. Thank you for being a shining example. I wasn't trying to, diss you or anything. All right. May 19th, the bee comes. The flower doesn't dream of the bee. It blossoms, and the bee comes. At times in my life, I've wanted love so badly that I've reimagined myself, reinvented who I am in an attempt to be more desirable or more deserving, only to discover again and again that it is the tending of my own soul. The tending of my own soul that invites the natural process of love to begin. I remember my very first tumble into love. I found such comfort there that, like Narcissus, I became lost in how everything other than my pain was reflected in her beauty. All the while, I was abdicating my own worth, empowering her as the key to my sense of joy. If I have learned anything through the years, it is that though we discover and experience joy with others, our capacity for joy is carried like a pot of nectar in our very own breast. I now believe that our deepest vocation is to root ourselves enough in this life that we can open our hearts to the light of experience and so bloom. For in blooming, we attract others. In being so thoroughly who we are, an inner fragrance is released that calls others to eat of our nectar, and we are loved by friends and partners alike. It seems the very job of being is to ready us for such love. By attending our own inner growth, we uncannily become exactly who we are, and like the tulip whose blossomed petal is the exact shape of the bee, our self-actualization attracts a host of loving others more real than our fantasies. In this way, the universe continues through the unexpected coming together of blossom souls. Woo! The unexpected coming of blossom souls. Oh my God, that's what we're doing. The unexpected coming together of blossom souls. Wow. I love that line. I mean, goodness me. See, that's what I love about air. It's like, come on, that's a Gemini sentence. So if you can, give up the want of another and be who you are. And more often than not, love will come at the precise moment you are simply loving yourself. Identify one trait that makes you feel good about who you are. Your laugh, your smile, your ability to listen, or the sound of your voice. The next time you exhibit this goodness, notice how... Oh, wow, it says notice how who you are reflects others. Sorry, I wasn't sure what that said for a moment. The next time you exhibit this goodness, notice how who you are affects others. These small moments are the beginnings of love. They do not yet have definition. Take a moment and give thanks for your small goodness and for the potential love of others. I love that. The unexpected coming together of blossom souls. That's what we're doing. That's the Three of Cups. So that's what we want to experience. So anything that isn't that, you're like, this person will blossom at a later date, but not right now. I can't fawn and fluff and feather that energy anymore. It's all go in. The more you love self, the more you have the capacity to let others in. That's the work, my dears. That's the work. All right. Oh, it's nice to be back. I was gone for a little while, but I had a little adventure in Virginia, in the Shenandoah. I put a reel on my Instagram highlighting some of the photos. Let's get a Sacred Forest Oracle to close out the reading. Thank you for tuning in today. As always, for sharing time with me. What is we had 3 come out. Manifest those dreams. This has been coming out a lot for the mid-May. We are working on dream manifestation. Ooh, and look at the purple coming in. Through the beauty of stillness, this is when we actually call in those dreams, right? Get the divine downloads. So new dreams could be born this week. And go with grace, the grace of wisdom. Wow. In the sacred forest. So we have wise woman of the growth, this indigenous aspect, the grace as the baton is passed from Taurus to Gemini, where we're now reflecting in the pool of stillness the dreams that we want to make manifest. All right. Which one's the most important, Spirit? This one. Manifesting dreams. Of course. I think, did we have this last week? It takes a little bit of time, right? To manifest dreams. Let's look at this. 46. Or maybe it was just a zodiac that I did recently. Your dreams can come true. Truly. However, there are a few steps necessary for this to occur. Yeah, this is that Saturnian. Be patient, right? I know we're going to get a little restless. There might be a little bit of a struggle. But, so, let's look at these steps. First, believe that you deserve it. Know that you are worthy. You are. Act as if your dreams have already come true. Move your body like someone whose desires have manifested. Most important, you must also take action in the direction of your dreams. This is not the time to sit around and passively wait for things to turn out. Yeah, in order to what is the beginning of creation? In co-creation. That means two. We are in partnership with the universe, with the cosmos. It requires action and discipline and devotion. Give deeply and fully of who you are, for the more that you give, the more that you will receive. Allow your emotions and feelings to flow. Don't repress or suppress the truth of your soul. As you focus on gratitude for what you already have, more joy and abundance will grow in your life. The Spirit of Water says water flows in cycles, and right now you are in a cycle of manifesting your dreams. Don't stop the flow by doubting or hesitating. Allow your emotions the freedom to be expressed. Timing is everything, and right now is your time. So Spirit is saying we are aligning through the pull of our own stillness, reflecting the royalty of our divine heritage. As we divine, right? The third eye chakra, divine, with grace and wisdom. The highest reality we seek for our self-actualization and for the self-actualization of the collective. For a lot of us are doing that work to awaken the collective. Let's get a primal theme. I don't know why I said primal. Primal theme. Universal love. Oh yeah, what a way to end this reading. Wow. Universal love. 44. Self-mastery, my friends. Gemini season. Are you all excited? I'm excited. You can tell. I'm excited because I feel the energy. It's like there's excitement in the air. We have that Knight of Wands, right? Coupled with the star and the sun. If you don't feel freaking excited, psyched, chances are it might not be the right choice, right? We're at a crossroads. We had that Two of Swords come out this week. And this youthful energy governing this push, this nudge to move forward. What's underneath it all? Love, universal love. It's an expansion. We're expanding. The frequency of universal love activates the connection we feel to each other, to our planet, and to the whole of existence itself. Ooh, deep, deep communion with the divine and with everyone in our lives. It is a sacred circle. It is a community. Everyone that you touch, every life that you touch as you go about your day. We are going through a complete identity renaissance. All right, folks, where we are now linked with universal love. So it is a deep well we can keep filling up. It's always been there. We've removed a lot of those layers of the ego. We have greater access. So live in that state as much as you can. Namaste, my friends. Thank you for tuning in. All right, so that ends the reading portion. As far as announcements, Taurus, I apologize. I was so busy trying to get out of town to Virginia for my 4-day trip. I'm going to be working on that after this reading, so expect that to come out today. If you're curious, Taurus and Capricorn, I'm still going to be pushing out the mid-monthlies for that particular grouping. So thank you for your patience. And that's about all, folks. I still have, my readings are up. I'm now, all my full readings, they were sold out for a while, but they're all back up for purchase. So go on. I always have a 9-day wait. So just know when you make a purchase on my website for a reading, it will take 9 days for the turn and you'll get it in your inbox. So if you're curious about that, go in the description box, go to my website, jennafontaine.com. All right, you all have a beautiful week. Enjoy the transits, enjoy Gemini season, and enjoy the love that's within you. It's always there. All right, take care. Namaste.